Getting the ball rolling on making a YouTube video, especially your first one, is very difficult because you haven't figured out who you are and what kind of style you want to go for. You haven't figured out your cadence or your tone or just about anything that has to go into the production of a video. Most of us have never done production of any kind, and it's intimidating. It's very difficult to get over that first hump. Welcome back to the Rebel Tech channel. I'm Justin, and in this video we're going to be talking about my steps that I take to making every YouTube video. It didn't always go this way, but these are steps that I've accumulated over the time that I've made these videos, and they really work well for me. They keep things organized, and I hope that some of these things, or even all of these things, will help you as well. But before we get started, if you have any questions, comments, or anything whatsoever, please leave it down in the comments section down below. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have about editing, setting up a script, outline, anything that I talk about in this video, and gear, tech, all that stuff as usual. And if you want to ask me more directly, I stream every Saturday afternoon on here for about an hour, and then I switch over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ghettohappy. Give me a follow there and you'll know when I go live there as well. And if you found this video helpful, entertaining, or anything whatsoever, please leave a like and consider subscribing. The first step that I take to making every YouTube video is the idea. And it's difficult in the beginning to figure out what ideas you're gonna go through with, because you're playing a game of what can I do, what can't I do, what topics are like informative or a topic that I want to talk about. You're playing a game of what you want to do and what you can do. An example that I could bring is George Lucas. When he was making his first 3 Star Wars films, he made the first 3, 4 through 6, because the storylines were easier to make with the technology he had at the time. Then he made 1 through 3 later on when he had the technology to do it. So this is kind of like with you and your ideas for YouTube videos. Are you capable of doing them? And if you are, you got to go ahead and start the process. Which leads us to step number 2. Step number 2 for me is I write an outline and then elaborate further in kind of like a script form. Not word for word what I'm going to say, but it's written out in a way that I would say it, making it so that if I was to have a script, I'd had something to read. But what I do is I read through it multiple times, and as I'm recording, like I'm doing right now, I read through it and then I talk. I don't read it, I just talk about it. So I give myself a more candid performance. So for this step, you can definitely do an outline and then just go off of that. If you want to do word for word, if you want to do a script and talk about it word for word, that's fine too. You just got to work on making it dynamic and more natural, as opposed to being a monotone, kind of like just reading, kind of like when you're in school and you have somebody, oh, everybody's gonna read 3 pages, and everyone, no, that in the monotone kind of, everybody knows that. So you got to be careful of not being too boring and too monotone. Step number 3 is picking out your scene, what your main scene is going to be. A lot of times with YouTube videos, you have your main stuff that go throughout the video, and then you got your B-roll that cuts in every so often. If you've seen my videos, that's how it works. For me, this is my scene, my little studio area here, my bat cave, if you will. And I cut to my B-roll every so often throughout this. You've probably seen tons of things, my montages, which I have a lot of fun making, using Stream Beats. Highly recommend looking up Stream Beats. I have links down below for that. Not sponsored, but very cool, royalty-free music that you don't get in trouble for using. Now, your scene can be anything. Whatever you feel like the idea for the video is, that's what your main scene is. And don't feel like you should be restricted. Now, I'm like, for me, I'm starting to expand my horizons. I'm starting to go out. I mean, it's a little difficult to go out into the world with the issues we're having, but I'm starting to make more videos expanding outside and doing different scenarios where I can go different places, obviously safely. But if you have something like a traveling channel or something like that, you need to understand what your scene is so you have an idea of where you're going to go, plot everything out so that it's fluent and you don't have to worry about wasting time or setting up or anything like that. Have everything laid out right away. Step 4 is the fun part. And the fun part is filming the actual video, the main video. For me, an example, me doing this talking head stuff and just explaining everything, doing a dry run sometimes. Like I go through it once and I'm like, okay, I found out the spots that I like, and then I redo some of them. I do multiple takes. Sometimes it takes a couple takes to get the ball rolling, but once I get going, later on in the video, it takes less and less takes. So take your time. Don't be too hard on yourself at the beginning because you're going to get discouraged. It takes time. So just take it slow, have as many takes as you can, and find your flow. Just like I was saying before, you got to find your tone. You got to find everything. You got to find yourself. You got to find the channel, all that stuff. So now you've filmed your main video. It's very simple. Press record. Go through the steps that I just talked about with your script and everything, your ideas. And now you have to organize your files. Be it if you have your audio files and your video files separate, or if you have them all in one, if you have them synced up right away. I said in my YouTube starter kit video, you can record all this stuff into OBS and it's synced up right away. And then all you gotta do is put it into your editing software, chop it up, edit it, and all that stuff. If you have everything separate, make sure you organize it into different folders. So I have a master folder for every video, and I have subcategories: video, B-roll, audio, and thumbnail. There's more to it, but those are the 4 main things. And if anything doesn't fit into those, I usually just keep it within the broad folder and put them where they belong if they need to go somewhere else. But for the most part, if you have those 4 categories, you should be fine. Now that you have everything organized, you need to put it into a editing software. Now, I know I said I was using DaVinci Resolve now. I tried it again. I tried the free version, and I remembered why I didn't like it. And it was just, it didn't feel right. And to be honest, I know Adobe now, and I will deal with the issues that come along with it. I don't have the time or the patience to deal with learning DaVinci again. Maybe one day, but I don't know. I'm okay with paying a little bit a month for Adobe because I know it. So now that you set up your file in Adobe or whatever editing software you have, if you're capable of making bins, do the same thing you did with the file in your program. For example, I'm going to say everything related to Adobe because that's what I use. So I make bins, same exact. They basically just replicate that. Main video, B-roll, audio, thumbnail. And then I add more. I add animations, stills, sounds and music, all that stuff. Now that you got everything organized into bins, you need to sync your files. Now, if things are synced already because you already recorded it all together, cool, you're set. You don't have to do this step. But if you haven't, sync everything up. While you're syncing, make sure that you have, this is what part of the filming. If your camera can do audio, which most cameras can, record the audio as well, because it makes the syncing process that much easier. I do a clap sync, so every single take, I say clap sync, and that's it. That spike is on the camera audio and my Zoom F6 audio. I just match up the clap sync, and that's it. Very simple. It's kind of like having a clapper in a film set. Once your videos are synced up, the next step is what I like to call cut the crap. This means all the silent parts, all the bad takes, and all the stuff that you know will not be in the video at all. And it just gets all of it cleaned up, and all you have left at the end of that are the takes that you like. Not necessarily the ones that are going to be in there, but you like the takes. It could be multiple of each one, but as long as you like it, keep it there. because we're going to go a little bit further. This is step by step. This makes things a little bit more bite-sized pieces, so you can make the video at your pace, at a steady pace, so you don't have to worry about being overwhelmed of doing too much editing all at once. Once you've cut the crap, the next step is kind of like a two-part step. You're kind of like doing these things in conjunction, and I like to call it fine-tuning and making markers. So in Adobe, you can make markers, little markers on top on the timeline of things that you want to add, little notes to yourself, and this is really key for me when I'm making my B-roll. I use these markers to indicate what type of B-roll I'm going to put into it. Because while I'm making the video, I'm not really thinking about the B-roll. I have ideas, but I'm not thinking about it. I'm just talking about the concept and my script all at once. This, in the editing process, is where I choose what type of B-roll that I want. And the fine-tuning is going through the whole thing again and choosing the proper takes that you like, the best takes that you like, cutting it down, making it more consumable to your viewer. Now that you've made your markers, and I'm not sure what step this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6. Future me will let me know. So once you've made your markers, the next step is to film your B-roll from those markers that you made. You just film the B-roll. I would say if you were to do this, if you're able to do it in more of a slow motion or like 60 FPS, or if you even have 120, it's up to you. That's certainly an option for you. For me, I turn the audio off on my camera because you don't need it, and it makes the file size a little bit smaller. But remember, when the next time you do record, make sure you turn the audio back on so it's easier to sync up your audio. Now that you've recorded your B-roll, it's time to add it in. So you should have a bin called B-roll. You throw that stuff into the B-roll. Well, you should throw your B-roll stuff into the folder, then the folder into the B-roll bin in your Adobe or whatever stuff you use. At this point, you're going to choose each clip. I usually do multiple takes of my B-roll if I'm doing a product shot, or if I'm doing if you're doing something outside like some trees, have some multiple examples. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into saying, oh, I guess I got to choose this. Have multiple shots so you have some variety. You might like the first one that you take, but at least you have those extra shots, and maybe keep them for a later shoot. Because sometimes when you start rolling with these videos, you'll be like, hey, I like that thing I did before. I like that shot I got, and I didn't use it before. Even if you did use it, I've reused shots before. You see it in Hollywood movies all the time. They reuse shots. Most of us don't even notice it, but that's little movie magic. Alright, so you added your B-roll. At this point, you're going to need to make your transitions. So if you want to have a hard cut to your B-roll, that's fine. You don't have to add transitions. But some people like to add the glitching effect, or like a swiping, whipping, a wipe effect, whatever it may be. You add it now, because you want to have everything clean before you do that. You don't want to start adding transitions while you're putting everything in, because it makes it a little messy. And if you want to change it later, it's like, oh, I gotta delete this, put this up, and it's a whole ordeal. So add your transitions and your effects now, so that at this point you should have your solid video set. This next step is all about color correction, and color correction is a very subjective thing. For me, I like to set up a picture profile right away in my camera and do minimal color correction. I get the picture profile as close as I can. Canon has a great picture profile library, and I'm very happy with it. I make adjustments here and there. The reason why I do it is because I suck at color correction. I've been working on it. I've been trying to get better at it, but to make the video that much better, I minimize the amount of work that I do by recording into a picture profile. That's just me. If you feel comfortable trying out doing it yourself in like a log form, or like a neutral, the way that you do it with a Canon without having log, you could go to a neutral or faithful, something like that, profile, where everything's just dropped down, saturation, contrast, everything's dropped down, then you could add it in later. So like I said, color correction is very subjective. This is the point where you do your color correction. What I like to do, if you're using Adobe Premiere, you make a adjustment layer and lay it over every section, so you have your main video and your B-roll separate. So I make two different adjustment layers, one for the main and one for the B-roll. And you could have more if you have different shots. Usually you should have a different one for every scene. So for example, if you have B-roll in one scene and your main video in another, you have two. That's what I usually do. Sometimes there's more than one, but for the most part it's usually two. Now we're in the home stretch. We're coming to a point where the main video, the bulk of it has been put together, and you really have a good idea of what your video is going to start coming out to be. This is where you're going to put the finishing touches, the polishing, and the cherry on top. At this point, you're going to start adding your bumpers, meaning your intros, outros, your title screens, whatever else you want to add. For me, I use a title screen. You see the Rebel Tech animation neon light thing, and then my outro is a clip from my stream. I got the Rebel Tech logo in the background and the animation with the Twitch stuff. So that's where you add this point where you're trying to finish everything up and put the final touches on it. The last step that I take is put in your backtrack. For me, just pick your favorite Stream Beats song. It's royalty free, no problems. You can put it in any video, you can play it on your stream, do anything like that. Royalty free. This is not sponsored by it, but I love to talk about things that are helpful to you guys, especially gear and stuff like that. And this is a type of service that could make your videos that much better. So Stream Beats, you could download them on the Alpha Gaming Discord. Harris Heller is a awesome dude. He's really cool. I've been following him for almost 2 years now. Actually, probably more than 2 years. And he's really made me a better content creator. And he talks about stuff. Go check out the Alpha Gaming channel. I'll leave a link down below. Highly recommend his stuff. He really helps just help you make content. Go check out his channel. You know what I mean. So once you choose your backtrack, the idea is figuring out what level do you want your backtrack at. Usually it just lays underneath like a nice fine layer. I like to keep my backtrack around like between -30 and like -25-ish, that range, depending on the track, if it's louder or quieter. So try to play it around and just mess around with it. You'll figure it out. Now your backtrack is done. Everything's put together. And you're happy with how it's been put together. At this point, I'd watch through everything, see how fluent it is, and see how your viewer is going to see it in its entirety. If you're happy with it, go render it. And you're going to render it at the highest resolution that you recorded in. So if you're recorded in 1080 at 30 frames, 24 frames, 60 frames, that's what you're going to render it as. But MP4 or WMV are your options, pretty much. There's tons of other options, but this is what I do. So you have your video rendered. You're happy with it. And the last step before putting it out to the world is making your thumbnail and choosing how you're going to go about making something that's catchy to the eye and true to the content that you've made. It doesn't necessarily have to have stuff that's in the video, but it has to represent the video in a way that it's not misleading. I hate clickbait, so be genuine to the content that you've made. So some examples of these thumbnails that I've put out, let's go through some of mine. So you're on my channel right now, and the latest one of the latest ones that I put out is the best microphone for film production. Shotgun versus pencil condenser microphone. And it's basically the Octava versus the Sennheiser MKH 416. And I wrote, does size really matter? I'm a big fan of innuendos if you haven't noticed. And what I did was I put the Russian flag around the Octava and the German flag around the Sennheiser logos with the microphones underneath it. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy. First thing that people see is the thumbnail. Then they go to the name of the video. So, does best microphone for film production. What is it? It's a question. You want to have people click on it. At that point, it's up to your video to do the rest. Let's go on to another one. A little further down, an older video. My Blue Compass video, where I talked about the Blue Compass arm, which my Canon's on it right now. I actually started using the Blue Compass as my camera arm. It's gonna piss some people off because I did choose the Rode PSA-1, which I still stand by. But the Compass has been showing its true colors. It feels like it's been neglected and it wants to do more. Maybe I'm just crazy. I'm just a lunatic in a basement. So back to that thumbnail. What I did was I started out with a sand thing because I wanted to make like a adventurer type thing. I had the shirt, I had the hat, all that stuff. What you're seeing here is sand. So I just took, I used Pixabay for pictures and stuff like that, and I made it blue. Obviously, with blue being the company, I made it blue. It has sand in the background, and then I took the blue logo and dropped it down to about like 25% opacity so you can barely see it, but it's in the sand. Me and the boom arm, and it's me looking for it, me eyeing it down, kind of like Steve Irwin, rest in peace, staring down something. Don't know what that something is, but in this case it's the Blue Compass. And of course I put perfect boom arm search. Now it doesn't mean that I found it, it just means that I'm searching for it. And is the Blue Compass the one? I think I'm going to put out another video talking about the Blue Compass and maybe changing my tone a little bit. I'm still going to stand by the Rode PSA-1 being my main arm, but Blue Compass is definitely warmed up to me a little bit. I mean, I did buy the thing and I really love it, but it's starting to be a little more even with the Rode PSA-1. So let's go over one more. Let's talk about my most popular video. My Audio-Technica AT4040 video. Background is like it looks like the mesh on a microphone. I think I got it from Pixabay as well, and I just dropped the brightness in some sections, and then around me I had more of like lightness, and then dark above, and then the lighting for the thumbnail, what I took with my green screen, I made it more ominous and like, well, you can see where the lighting is. That's another thing. Make sure you know where your lighting is. If your lighting is one part and then the other part of the thumbnail is lit differently, it doesn't matter. Even if they're in different parts, it doesn't matter if they're in different parts of the thumbnail. The lighting needs to be consistent. So what you can see here, the lighting is coming from the right, going up, and you can see it's dark on the left side. So the shadow, me casting the shadow. And I say $300 semi-pro mic with the microphone in the middle, me looking at it. And that's just another example of something that you can put out, and just a bunch of examples of thumbnails that you could create. Just the second favorite part of making a video is the thumbnail for me, because it's where I could be creative and I could have fun and dress up or do like a cosplay or something like that. I'm a wannabe aspiring actor, wannabe actor. I'm used to being behind the camera, but I'd love to actually get into it. I took a couple of improv classes, which are so much fun, but I'm good at being an audio person and good at behind the camera and film production, so I'm kind of not there yet to put myself in front of the camera fully. Maybe in the future, after all this crap is over with. Now, if you made it this far, this is the last part. You post the thing. Make sure you got your thumbnail. Make sure you got your video. And make a catchy, very intriguing title. I can't tell you what type of title to make. I gave you the examples that I've put out, but I can't tell you what to make because that's totally up to you. It's your creative juices that need to pump to make your content yours. And if the content is yours and the content is genuine to you, eventually people will watch it. If you're being genuine, people want to see genuine people. Despite the fact of like the negativity and the toxicness over on the internet, there are genuinely good people like you guys in this community. I say this all the time. You guys are great. I really enjoy the conversations we've had, and you all are very, very nice, and I couldn't ask for better people to watch my videos and have conversations with, and I can't thank you enough for being so nice and kind. And there are a lot of bad things on the internet, which I grew up with the infancy to the now of the internet, and I know it's bad. I know it can be bad, but you guys have shown that there is light in the internet, and there's good people. So keep it up, guys. Keep it up. Keep this community very positive. That's all I ask. Alright, so that is my list of things that I do to make a YouTube video. You could take as many of these things as you want, as little as you want, if you want to pick and choose what you like. If you have any questions of things you might want to add or anything like that, please let me know down in the comments down below. I'll be happy to have a conversation about making videos, gear that you may need. If you saw my gear video or YouTube starter kit video, go check that out if you haven't. And if you have any questions about anything, gear, making videos, or anything like that, lighting, I'm still learning with lighting, but I've gotten a lot better if you compare it to my earlier videos. Just leave it down in the comments, and if you want to ask me more directly, I stream every Saturday afternoon. Just give me a follow, twitch.tv/ghettohappy. Sometime in the afternoon. I don't know exactly the time. It could change over time, but if you follow and throw on notifications, you'll know when I go live. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked that video, please leave a like down below and consider subscribing for more videos that are coming out in the future. And as I said, questions, comments, anything like that down in the comments section. And if you want to talk to me directly, stream every Saturday afternoon, roughly like that. Follow on twitch.tv/ghettohappy. Remember that. Go follow it. The link's on my channel in the bottom right corner of the banner. Go follow that, and you'll know when I go live. And until next time, be safe, be kind. If you go out, please wear a mask. And I will see you in the next video. The only thing that I want to do is I want to pet that lemur. And no, that's not a euphemism.